This is a quick look at the paint correction process and what happens to your car when you bring it in for paint polishing. My name is Nate, I'm the owner of Trofeo Auto Spa, and here we have a BMW M3 in for a two-step paint correction before it gets ceramic coated. The very first step of a paint correction process is to first inspect the vehicle thoroughly. So using special lights, whether it's handheld or the ones on the wall, you look around the vehicle very carefully to look at the scratches and to see the condition of the paint. And then we measure the paint thickness with a special gauge. And so this reads the primer, the color coat, and the clear coat. The clear coat usually makes up around 33 to 40% of that reading. So you want to make sure when you're doing the paint correction process, you don't remove too much paint. When you polish a car, what you're doing is you're just removing that top portion of the clear coat. So you don't want to remove too much, especially on cars that are going to be kept for a while, going to be preserved. You're not always going for perfection with the paint. Sometimes you want to preserve the paint, still make it shinier, still get to look a lot better. So this car has a fair bit of paint on it. We can do quite a bit of polishing to remove a lot of the scratches, but we're not going for perfection. If you remove too much paint, you can run into issues down the line. Areas of this car have been repainted, so we'll take special note of that because we might have to adjust our technique and the compounds and polishes we use on those areas because they will behave a little differently than the factory paint. Once the inspection is done, then it's time to move on to doing a test spot. We usually do a test spot on the hood because it's the most noticeable and it's the easiest to see. We turn off these lights and use special lights to inspect the hood once we polish it because it gives the true depiction of what the paint is actually like when you pull it outside and out in the sun, different things like that. So all paints behave a little differently. So you want to use different pads and machines and combos to figure out what's going to be best for your specific car, and in this case, this specific BMW. Paint on this BMW is pretty rough, has a lot of scratches and swirl marks in it, so I'm using a fairly aggressive polish and pad combo. You want to start out with the least aggressive method possible, so I'll do a test spot here, wipe off the polish and inspect it, and then if I need more, I will bump it up to a more aggressive compound and a pad combination to remove more of these swirl marks and scratches in a more efficient manner. As you can see, it made an improvement. The paint here looks better than the unpolished section, definitely, but we're still going for more with this car, so I will bump it up to a more aggressive pad and combo until I find a winning combination. So here you can see the results from the first test spot. This is the second test spot. I bumped it up to a different machine, and so it looks like there's a lot of ghost marks in the paint, but with a trained eye, you can look through those and look for the deeper defects. So there's a lot of these deep scratches and defects here. Those deep scratches are gone. What these ghost marks are essentially very light scratches. The reason it's called a two-step paint correction is because the first step is to remove a lot of those scratches. The second step is to refine the paint, get rid of these ghost marks, and make the paint very shiny, get a lot of that gloss and the depth out of the paint. So what I'll do now is I'll bump down to a less aggressive pad and machine and polish, and I'll polish out these ghost holograms, and that'll get the paint very shiny. So I'll do a combination to figure out what's best to remove these holograms, and then now I'll know what's best to remove the scratches, and then what's best to finish down the paint, so I know what is going to give the best results for this BMW M3. So this is the original test spot, and then you can see the finished test spot, and it's a great clear finish. There's still some deep scratches in there. Those would have to remove a lot of clear coat to get those out. We're not going for perfection with this car. We did a couple other test spots around here, but we found out the winning combination, and that is what's shown here compared to the very first test spot. So this is exactly why we do a test spot, because we want the best results for your car. The headlights got restored, the interior is detailed. Once it gets polished up and then ceramic coated, it's going to look amazing. So that was quite a few hours of polishing, compressed into a few seconds, but we basically went around the entire car with the 2 steps, and then after I wiped off the polish, I realized there was still some finish issues on parts of the car because areas have been repainted. So it took extra care and actually did a 3rd step to make sure the finish was perfect on this car. There's no marring or haze, so you get a great gloss and a great shine out of this car. Then it was prepped for the ceramic coating, and the ceramic coating was applied. But that paint correction process really just encapsulates all of the paint polishing to remove a lot of the scratches and swirl marks on the car. Not all paint correction processes are going to remove as many scratches as this. Some cars, especially if it's going to go through a car wash, if it's going to be your daily driver, I actually don't recommend going after a lot of the scratches because it's going to get scratched up over time anyway. So you want to preserve as much clear coat on that vehicle, especially new vehicles. They have very thin paint. So this car went a little above and beyond. This is a sports car. It's going to be taken care of very well and more of a show car. So we went after more of the scratches on this. This BMW looks amazing now. This black is very black in this light, but in the shop it looked very blue. It's a really cool color. I'm very happy that I was able to take on this car and give you guys a glimpse into the paint correction process and what's involved with that. So this car looks amazing. It's ready for the owner and it's good to go.